Welcome to Painting VR. We're playing the early access AppLab version on an Oculus Quest 2. Before we get started, take a minute to click the S in the corner to subscribe. I'm trying to get to 1,000 subscribers, so that'd be much appreciated. Also, like, share, leave a comment. I'd love to hear your feedback on the video or the game itself. Since it's early access right now, I'm sure the devs would enjoy that. And with that being said, let's dig in here. This is Painting VR. We've got a pop-up here that has the tutorial, but we're going to skip that because we've tried it out a little bit already. We've got our paint cans over here, our brushes over here. Some stuff I know how to use, other stuff I don't know how to use. But let's set up our canvas area here and we'll get started. Bring up our menu. And we'll set up some of our reference material. First of all, our inspiration. Then our reference material, Island in the Wilderness. And then our palette. So now as far as palettes, you can pick out your colors from an image palette such as this. You get these images on the Quest through SideQuest, accessing the file system. Let's just get that set up nice. Alright, today we're going to paint Island in the Wilderness. Wonderful Bob Ross piece. So we'll start by bringing a couple buckets over here. Or cans, I should say. Don't need them all, just 2 or 3. Doesn't matter what colors, we'll change their colors in a bit. There we go. Make sure everyone's sitting over there nice and comfortable. This is our paint thinner. Allows us to make the paint a little less opaque so we can mix. Let's go ahead and get a brush. Now some of these brushes will say this brush blurs. We don't want a blurring brush, we just want a normal brush to start. That looks good. And what we're going to do is start with our sky. What looks like nice sunrise or sunset, I'm not quite sure. Let's call it a sunset. So in order to start with our colors, we're going to get a can of paint and we're going to tint it phthalo blue by pressing a button and pointing that indicator at our palette, the color that we want. We've got phthalo blue right there, but it's going to be a bit opaque right now, so we're going to thin it out, and you can watch the indicator on the side of the can to see how thin the paint is getting. There we go. That looks pretty good to start, and we'll just start laying down our sky here. We're not in a hurry, just taking it easy. You can always go over things, although there's no undo in this painting program yet. And that's okay. I don't think the devs intend there to be an undo. They want it to kind of feel like natural painting. But we can always go over, we can always adjust, we can roll with the punches as it were. Not that we want any punches. There we go. That's a nice start. Now we want it a bit lighter. So what we'll do is we're going to, I think, tint our brush to a little titanium white. And I believe it's going to keep the same opacity as the bucket, but that's still a bit, spilling on the floor. That's all right. we're in our studio here, it's not a big deal. Bucket likes me a little much. There we go. Can apparently making a mess. That's okay. That's what we're here for. So we wanted actually a bit more transparent, almost entirely for our white, and we're going to use this to thin things out, mix colors again, lighten up this phthalo blue a bit. So we'll dip our brush in and we'll just go over here, kind of lighten up that sky. And if we want, I think we can go back into the phthalo blue right here, and it's going to keep right now the opacity of the white bucket that we're using. I'm not sure if that's a bug, but if it is, it's a happy bug at this point, because it comes in handy to just be able to switch paints but keep the same opacity that we've been using. Seems like there's a little bit of green. So let's get some phthalo green in there. Just a hint maybe as we, oh, that's too much, but that's okay. Let's go back to the white. We'll just brush that out a bit. We'll go back to phthalo blue. And there we go. We got a little bit of green under there. So what we're going to want to do is we'll put that down, grab our other bucket, and we'll just make this one as thin as can be. And that's what we'll use our, oh, that's the movement. We don't want the movement. We want our color selector. So that looks pretty dark. I think that may have eliminated our thinner. Yeah, there we go. So we want super thin on the green. Pardon me. Old bones, there we go. Now we got a bit of a green wash. And to give us some more of a turquoise sky. We'll just go back to our phthalo blue to blend that in a bit. And what we're going to do now is start bringing in some of those nice pink colors and rose colors that are in our sunset there. Just make sure we don't have too much of the green. We'll just go kind of a figure 8 pattern. A little bit more green back in there, and we'll have to go over some of this with the white again to make sure we get the gradation we want. So now we're going to grab some cadmium red, and we'll start painting that in down here where our mountains are going to be. And we'll just bring that up nice and light into our sky. It's pretty red right now, but we'll thin it out. Switch to the titanium white, and we'll start blending these together. Make that sky a little less angry. We don't want fire in the sky. We just want a nice, gentle sunset that we can drink our coffee or tea, have a nice sit down, say goodbye to the sun. I think we'll put a little bit of yellow in there, which, what do we got there? That cadmium yellow. I'm not sure that red, permanent red, it says. I got that wrong. Apologies there. It's permanent red. but not completely permanent. There we go. Just a little bit of yellow. And we're gonna pick up the white again, do a little more blending. And then we got some clouds coming in. So why don't we go back to our phthalo blue and bring in maybe a nice cloud over here that's just drifting in to say hi. Bit too dark, we'll get to that. And we'll just bring a little bit of that phthalo blue down so that it doesn't look so uniform in the sky. We're gonna go back to our titanium white to just ease that cloud up a bit. There we go. We're gonna bring the blue down here a bit. And we're also gonna bring our red up here a bit. Just, you can look a little more natural. Although a lot of different things can be natural, and that's okay. You know what? We'll bring a little bit of darker blue, richer blue into the corners. The sky gets a little bit darker in the distance. I think there's maybe a little too much green there, so we'll just go over that a bit. There we go. Now let's move on to those mountains. We're going to switch brushes for the mountains because that one's a little big. Let's switch to something a little finer to get our mountains going. We're going to go back to our blue, maybe our can that tried to escape here. Ooh, that one's pretty dark. But we don't want it. Oh, we're corrupting our other paint there. We're going to want to thin it quite a bit. It's really hard not to tilt these cans. What we'll do is, there we go. Now we're just going to put in the tops of our mountains, whatever way we like. That's still looking pretty opaque. Yeah, it reset when we chose the color, so let's make that quite a bit lighter. That's a bit better. We'll lighten that up with some titanium white in a bit. Don't want these mountains too smooth. We want them a little rough around the edges, like all of us. And we're going to smooth these out once we bring in the white, so that's looking pretty good. And what we'll do is we'll just choose titanium white. That's a bit rough, so hopefully this is going to pick up the white. Yeah, rather than the green. So we'll just kind of soften these a bit. They're just mountains in the distance, so we can come back in. To bring back in some of the blue if we want. Where we may have taken a little too much out. Put maybe another little peak in front there. whatever feels right. Doesn't have to be the way it is in someone else's painting. But we do want to get it filled in a bit, so we're going to switch to the blue, and that's really still dark, so that's the green. We don't want the green. We got a little bit of purple there. It's probably going to be covered by trees, but I think maybe we missed our target when we went to the palette there, and that's fine. We can just go over that, make it a bit lighter with the titanium white, and that's just going to make things a little more interesting. Someone's going to see this painting and remember a sunset they saw that had a little bit of purple in it. Don't worry too much about behind. We're going to add some even lighter mountains in the distance, I think. You could do those first if you like, but right now we're doing these ones slightly in the foreground. There we go, just blend it in just a bit. Now we're going to do those mountains in the distance, which we're going to need our other paint can. And first we'll select our blue, and then we'll thin it up, not quite as much as the one we just had, but quite thin, because these mountains are even further back, but they're there. They're there like an old friend in your memory. Haven't seen them in a while, but when you think of them, it makes you smile, and maybe you run into them, and it's as if there was no time at all. That's what these mountains are in the back, just in the distance right now, but if you notice them, come right back to you. And for these ones, I'm going to switch back here and fill in some of this color, and then we're going to go actually get some of the kind of rose color. You can pick it off your canvas too, the color. Get some of that in the valleys here. We'll mix it in a bit with some white. Just say, hey, something's down there. Something's down there in those valleys in the distance. There's some space. Things might be happening down there. And we'll just use some white to kind of blend those together, although I think we might be not getting the exact opacity that this can is supposed to have. That's okay. We can work with it. Go back to the white, and just to mix some of these pinks in, we'll go to those pinks there, fill in some space. Could have gone down a little further with the sky. That's okay. We're going to put some trees in here, fill it in so nobody's lonely. Okay, so we've got some mountains in the distance there. We've got our sky, which we're actually gonna, now that we have our mountains, we can fill in here a little bit. Get the colors right down there, a little richer. Alright, we'll go to the white for a little blending. That's a bit too light. What we'll do is we'll pick white for the can, and then we'll take our paint thinner and just thin it right out. And we'll go to blending here. Just a little bit more of a gradient. Here we'll go get some of this. All right. Now we're going to do a line of trees. So for trees, we're going to mix some paints. Let's see. That's some sap green, but we want it to get, don't want to spill our paint can. There we go. We want it to get a bit darker. So we're going to get some Van Dyke brown. We're just going to pour it into our green there. Make it just a nice dark green. And we're just going to start putting in a line of trees here in the distance. They can be as tall as you want. Some short ones too. And then maybe there's a spot where there aren't so many trees. And then maybe there's a tall one right amidst some of its little shorter siblings. It looks like in the middle here, as we get to the middle, it's a bit of an opening in the forest where the trees are further in the distance, and then back to some of these taller ones. There we go. Come back over here. Now we want to go ahead, put a little more brown in there, make it a bit darker, and we'll even put in a little bit of blue just to give it a little bit of mystery. We'll go back in and put some shadows. Something's happening in the pines. You know, pines have secrets, and that's what these dark spots show. Just a little bit of mystery there in the pines. Not all green. All right. Let's put that tin down and let's get some of these reds over here. That was a bit abrupt, so let's go over that a bit. We want to get one of our thinned paint cans, and now maybe we'll put in a little color there. Still pretty thick, so let's get our thinner. Just want to put some of that mystery sky down here behind the trees. We'll come back and go over that one spot. But we want that sunset. Nobody wants to be left out of the sunset. We want that sunset creeping down here too, behind these mountains. And just because you've gone and done these trees doesn't mean you can't go back in and add some interesting elements to our mountains. We don't want anyone to think there's a fire there. We'll just lighten this up a bit. Not about forest fires, it's about a nice sunset. Alright. Now let's go ahead and put in some water, and for that I'm going to start with our phthalo blue, and then we're going to grab some phthalo green, and we'll just give ourselves a bit of aquamarine there. Grab our thinner and just take some of the edge off. And we'll just go ahead and paint in. We'll go grab a larger brush. This one blurs, so we'll put that one up there. We'll try this one out. And then we're just going to go ahead, paint in our water here. So it's going to come down all around. There we go. Now what we'll do is we'll add some thinner here. We'll thin this right out again. And what we're going to do is add a little bit of mist, a little bit of fog. It's a foggy sunset. Just rolling the edge of the trees here. I think we're going to need to make this just a little bit more opaque. So we'll go to about there. And then our mist will roll in just a bit thicker. There we go. Drinking our tea on the shore. Watching the mist roll in as the sun sets. Listening to the loons call. Maybe trying to figure out, what's that bird in the distance in the mist? Another loon or a crane? Maybe a heron? Not sure. It's off in the distance. Just thin this a bit more. As we bring our mist down a little bit. Go even thinner. actually switch our brush as we put just a little bit of glow in the water. And we're going to go ahead and grab the blue again, and now we're just going to add a little more green this time. That might be a bit too much green. I don't think we grabbed the right color there. There we go. Just a little bit of sap green too. We're going to make that little less opaque. And we're just going to go ahead and add a little bit of that. I think we need more blue in there. There we go. And then we lost our paint thinner, so let's thin that back out. A little bit thinner. There we go. We'll just add some of that blue back in. Now we're going to go ahead and pick our white back up. Thin that down quite a bit. Then we're going to go grab our other brush, and we're going to put in some of these little wisps if we can. I don't think our white is quite bright enough there. So just some little tendrils of where the fog is rolled out just a little further. Now we're going to go ahead and start working on our little island there, one of the little islands. We've got two. So we're going to take some ochre and some Van Dyke brown. Mix those together. That'll be our ground cover here. Now we're just going to go in wherever we think that island should be. I'm going to put it there. That seems a little bright. So let's just make that a little bit darker. And that'll be our island in the wilderness there. We're going to go ahead and rough out our island on this side too. Two little islands in the wilderness. Now I'm going to pick up some green. Get some sap green. And we'll add a little bit of brown to it. A little bit darker there. Not too bright. And come back and we'll put this little foliage. Nice little shrubs have been able to grow on this island. Well, over here too, we've got some. Got a couple little bushes coming down here too. Well, you feel like, however many you want to put in. How many would you like in your garden? And maybe some of them, maybe some of them are flowering. Oh, just a couple little hints. Not everything's flowering, just a few. And over here, maybe got a couple different plants. Now let's get to our evergreens here. Start with them. Start with sap green. And make that quite a bit darker. Let's see, we've got some Van Dyke brown in there. So we get a nice dark. We'll pick a color right off the painting there. There's no cheating here. Now we're just gonna start over here. To rough in. Evergreen. There's one. And then we got a little bit on the side here. Little brother. And then what we'll do is we'll go and we'll rough in trees over here as well. Which is maybe Brigman that's kind of got its branches sagging down a little bit more. This one's going to go right up to the top of the painting. It's that tall. And it's got, as well, it's got a little friend here beside it. Maybe a partner. Maybe a life partner. They've been there a long time. Now we're going to go in and put some brighter colors in there. That green, we're just going to make it a little bit darker. Not too dark this time. We want some of those nice greens to come in. But we are going to switch to our smaller brush here. And how about we start over here to just This one we got, you know, some lights hitting one side of the tree more than the other. So we'll just go ahead and get the greens on that side where the sunset is shining its radiance on these trees, allowing them to photosynthesize, give us some more oxygen. Thank you, trees. Got a splatter or two there. Got a bit excited. Just add some character. So now we're going to add some yellow to our green, because we've got some really yellow green branches there, or foliage on these trees. So we'll just brighten that up just a little bit. I'm going to go back in and just add a little bit. Just add a little bit on the edge here, right where the sun's saying hello, or goodbye actually, as it heads out for the evening. And here we just got a couple. And while we're at it, we got another happy little shrubbery on the side here that we can start roughing in. It's a bit different. Maybe we'll pick another color here. Maybe we'll pick it right off the canvas. Although that doesn't seem to pick it. We got a dip there. That's what the deal was. We're gonna have to come back and fix this one up a bit. Let's pick our color there, and we'll dip, and then we'll just come in and make this look a bit more like foliage. And now we want an even brighter yellow, I think. So let's put that down, and we'll come back. We'll just add a couple touches. And you know what? I'm going to go to our bigger brush. And just pull down a bit. Get that impression. Back over here, I think we missed a couple. And we definitely missed some over there, but we're going to need our, you know what? Let's try a brush we haven't tried before. This yellow is pretty bright over here. There we go. Now we're going to pick out the green. Maybe we'll go over our yellow just a bit, just to soften it, just a couple taps. Make these brush strokes look a little more natural. A little hidden, a little branch just peeking out for that last bit of sunshine. I'll just make the center here a little bit darker. You know what? We missed a little bit of blue in there. Just there in the distance. And we'll just lower that a bit, so you can see that, yeah, the lake is there. It's still there. It's just an island. No need to worry. Okay. One of the things we're worried about is kind of how are these trees standing up, but that's okay because we're gonna put some more foliage in here. This time, you know, we're gonna get a little bit of red there. End up with kind of a natural color. I'm going to put just a couple more little bits of greenery down here. You know what, we're going to get a bit of we'll grab this blue from here and we'll put in these, you know, shadows. There we go. Just coming down through the water. The trees there. Then we got some shadows up there. Maybe not. We'll just pretend that one didn't happen, and we'll sneak in another one. I want this to be a bit lighter, I think, before we go ahead and put it in the back there for those trees in the distance. Just to darken that up a bit. Got a shadow coming down onto the water for those trees too. What we'll do is we'll go and grab our blurring brush and we'll blur things that way, which is not really what we wanted. So that's okay, we're still getting used to everything. We'll just go back in. Grab our colors here and get our nice water back. Maybe a little more green, and that's probably what it needed. And let's grab a little bit of ochre here, and we're going to go along the edge of our island. Just a little bit here. Maybe it's got a sandy shore. Right at the edge. We're just gonna brighten up our little path here. A little dirt path with some fallen leaves. We're going to actually go back in and grab some of this brown, this darker brown, because we just wanted a little edge of that lighter brown. So we'll bring some of that back in. You know, we'll just bring a hint of a trunk up there, just barely see it. What we'll do is we'll grab a darker brown here, and we'll just do the same thing here, just a hint, and say, hey, is that the trunk there? And maybe it is, maybe it isn't. And we'll just cover over some of the parts. ahead and make the trunk here a bit darker. And just here a bit darker. Then we'll go back and grab the green. And then we got this nice tree up here, so what we'll do is we'll grab some brown and we'll just draw out some branches for it in the background here. Bit thick branches, that's okay. Another one down here. A little one up here. Maybe one that didn't quite make it there. And then we'll go ahead, switch to our larger brush. Actually, we'll do it with the can there. We'll make this pretty transparent for these leaves. It's nice kind of dry leaf color, and we'll just go, there's some on the top. Use a little more yellow in here. That looks good. Then we'll have to make it transparent again. We'll go back and grab our brush. We'll get back in here. There we go. You know, just a different type of tree. Plenty of different types of trees in the forest. And they all get along. And maybe we'll go ahead and add a little more yellow here. Make it a little bit brighter. Because it's catching some of the sun too. That's why everyone's out, just to get that last little bit of sun from the sunset. And then maybe one of these little bushes down here has some of this color too, along our path. And a little couple down here. Fell. You never know. There you have it. Now all that's left is to give it our little signature. We'll go with some red. Stuck down here. There you have it. This is PaintingVr, currently available in the AppLab for Oculus Quest. If you haven't already, take a minute to click the S in the corner to subscribe. I'm trying to get to 1,000 subscribers, so that'd be much appreciated. Also like, share, leave a comment. All that good stuff is appreciated if you enjoy the content. Thanks for watching, and we'll catch you next time.